last verse, we covered the 17th verse. There was a reference. We quoted the Lord Vishnu in his four hands holds the Padma, Shankha, Gada, Chakra. The Padma, as we learned, is the lotus flower, which is the ultimate goal, the ultimate peace, the ultimate bliss we all should aspire, which is in the goal of self-realization. And there is a clear guidance from within us, whether we are following that path of conscience, the path of seeking that peace. So the Shankha, the conscience in us, very clearly, constantly keeps reminding us to follow that path of the Padma. And there is the conscience at the subtle intellect level, and at the gross intellect level, there is a constant comparison with the choices we make. And when we say choices, it is the gross intellect which operates on certain convictions. So at every stage of our life, the convictions or the conclusions or the choices we make has to be constantly measured with the conscience. So when your conviction matches with your conscience, then you are upholding your conscience. So as we understand, the convictions vary in a person at different situations. The convictions vary in different people. What you're convinced to do in life in the past may not be your current conviction today. But what is it that goes into determining your conviction? What are the things that go into determining or defining your conviction? Is the question. Is there can we think of a standard argument that we can give as to what determines your conviction? What all go into defining one's conviction? It's an interesting question. In fact, I was thinking whether to ask that question, but having question, it's very important to just to spare a moment or two. What do you take into account to form a conviction? What goes into account? Any initial thoughts, Ramji?
Namaste, sir.
Hariam, sir.
I think past experiences will definitely play a role in convictions, because that's why they change over a period of time sometimes. Secondly, the values, or the what are called the moral guardrails, as we call them, moral guardrails, which actually drive our life, which were inculcated among us in the beginning. Some of them might have come from a previous birth or whatever, but essentially what you're brought up on, the moral guardrails. Like if you are brought up in a corrupt family, then corruption is not you are convinced that corruption is the way to go forward, right? So that is also something which plays a role in the way you are brought up, and your own experiences over a period of time, and the value guardrails that you have been following. Conscience, finally, I think, does play a role, because that is always keeping you on the right track. But there are many people who violate them because they're convinced that, the other way is the way to do it. So philosophically, yes, that all this, what comes to us through from previous birth and those kind of things are there. That is also there.
Why are you going that far into the previous birth?
That's why I'm not going so much into that. That's why I was emphasizing more on how we're brought up and what is the value systems we follow, or what I called the guardrails. And then third is our own experiences over a period of time.
Okay. No, you're not wrong at all. They certainly help in molding one's convictions, right? Jama said it's your vasanas, your gunas. I would say perhaps it is your own nature. I'm very convinced that what I'm doing is the right thing, which is to pursue this philosophy or pursue this path of spirituality. So my nature plays a prominent role in choosing the field. No? I'm convinced that what I'm doing is right. Isn't it, Ramji? So my primary nature and gunas also play a pivotal role in choosing. Like I am convinced that I'm not designed for business because that's not my nature. There could be past experiences which could I could be born into a family of business or whatever, but I'm convinced not to do that. So you take your nature into account, your personality into account, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing is how the personality gets formed, whether there is any other, what is the role of other factors which help you in forming your personality. Like in the same family, all the people will not be of the same convictions, right? So that can also happen, which is based on how your personality is formed or how your nature develops. So there is some other factor also which is playing there. So I don't know. I'm just expressing this thing that there may be 2-3 factors. Nature is definitely one of them, but
yeah. Right, sir. Thank you. Any other inputs? Yeah, it is your vasanas. Yes, Ushama, it is. When we say nature, it's your vasanas. But when you choose a particular nature, you are talking of a specific nature. Like I'm convinced to pursue philosophy as my profession, but I may have vasanas towards mountaineering. I have vasanas towards playing badminton, but I'm not convinced that I should choose that as my profession. You get that? Just because it's your nature, it doesn't necessarily mean your convictions are in accordance with your nature. Nature plays a part in molding. Sometimes many people may not have discovered their true nature, but they may have convinced that they were doing the right thing. So I may be convinced to doing the right thing out of ignorance of my true nature. But when you so what we are saying is those convictions, is it supported by my conscience? So that check, that is there a parallel between my conviction and conscience, is what one has to do at every stage. If that legitimate comparison or a check is not done, then we don't know whether we are being in the right path, whether we are following the Padma. Am I using my resources wisely? I want to be of service to people. Am I really doing the right service? Is it an emotionally driven act of service I'm rendering? In fact, any act driven on emotion is not supported by the conscience. Any act driven by emotion is not supported by the conscience. Any reasons? You know, why is it so? Any action based on emotion, which also suggests there is an element of impulsiveness. Yes, Ituji.
Hari Om Guruji.
Yes,
Driven by mind.
yeah, but why is it? Obviously, emotion or being impulsive is not supported by
Irrational.
conscience. Okay, now again, what we are saying is when you say it is supported by the mind or irrational, we are again giving synonymous description of the nature. But why is it that the conscience does not support an impulsive action or an irrational action or an action supported by the mind? Why is it doesn't support?
Because,
Okay, first of all, do you agree that is a blanket statement we can put it?
because it is not supported by intellect. There is no direction. There is no discrimination. It is between right and wrong.
But my mind may also choose. My mind may also end up doing the right thing.
Emotions only out of attachment.
I'm not saying you're wrong at all. In fact, you're right that when we say conscience does not support any impulsive action, is because any action driven on the mind or being impulsive lacks direction. Obviously, it is irrational, but it lacks direction. It's erratic. You can't predict, so it is non-directional. It doesn't have a specific course to its action. So you never know when would you do what you do. Any other reasons you can think of why your conscience doesn't support the mind?
Raviji is unable to put reaction.
Yes, Raviji.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om, sir.
The point you brought up, can it be a blanket statement? I was thinking about it because sometimes out of emotion or impulse, sometimes you do a good act. Let's say you see somebody suffering, you help the person. It may be a purely emotional decision. Somebody starving, you give them food. I don't know whether that is necessarily bad or not supported by conscience. I wouldn't say that. It may be based on intuition. It may be a subconscious process. So I don't know whether all emotional acts are necessarily not supported by conscience. I don't know. The other thing I wanted to say is there's something called destiny, because I've seen enough in my life to see that a lot of people try very hard for something, they don't get it. A lot of people seem to get things far more easily. And so on and so forth. So while nurture and nature are both very important, I think nurture is in my opinion, nurture is far more important than nature. I think upbringing, your inputs, your education systems, your values put into you, they go a long way in forming you far more than so-called nature. Nature in the sense of what you're born with. It could be your circumstances, it could be your past life baggages and so on. But my opinion is, in a very modern sort of way, almost anybody can be molded into a good human being through proper upbringing and nurture. That's my opinion, at least. And then as to the other point, maybe there is a destiny in everything, and you can only try so hard.
Right. Now, firstly, you're right when you say regarding what influences the conviction. It is the upbringing, and when you said whether it's more influential than nature or not, I'm not really sure. But nature plays a role, because ultimately, if I don't have it in me, any amount of conditioning will not really help or nurture me. But you have to have a certain undercurrent with you to take you in a particular direction. If I didn't have that exposure in me, or sorry, didn't have the nature in me, any amount of exposure of my parents in my younger days or childhood days may not have conditioned me to a particular thing. However, it's subjective. But we're talking all this now. But I don't think really what Vedanta says on destiny is you are a master of your destiny, sir. This is where Vedanta says, because Vedanta gives us the capacity to go all the way out to nullify your past and in fact go to the highest goal. Means you can achieve anything you wish to. They say even the worst of sinners can attain moksha. If they say it's an open statement, the Gita says even the worst of sinners can attain the moksha, there's no question of anything predestined or predetermined. And when you said an action, when it is done on the mind or emotion, could be intuitive. Intuitive actions are not driven by the mind. Intuitive actions, I think some time earlier we said intuitive actions are actions with past knowledge. You tap your past knowledge and you act. It may seem to be impulsive, but they're not impulsive. They are actions from past experiences. You stored knowledge, you act on it. So you act in a flash, but not necessarily impulsive. Okay, sir. Thank you. So so it is important that what convictions you have, the thing is, convictions are dynamic. So what you're convinced at that particular time, at that particular situation, in that phase of your life, you may be right. But the same conviction, you put it in a different context, a different stage of your life, in a different backdrop, it seems completely wrong. Therefore, it is always important to check your conviction with the backdrop of your conscience. And then when you do not follow the conscience, in fact, I think we could be very safe to say that any action driven on the mind, your conscience would not support to a large extent. You can say so. Unless there are any reasons to soundly argue against it. That doesn't mean every action taken by the intellect can be supported by the conscience. Contrary is not true. Huh? You're following, Sanjay? On one hand, we are saying that the mind, just because you act on the mind, doesn't mean your conscience supports. The contrary doesn't mean every decision, every conviction taken by your intellect, decision taken by intellect is supported by the conscience. Can you tell me why? Or how do you justify that statement?
So a decision taken by the mind might align to the consciousness just by randomness.
No. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There's no consciousness here. It's a conscience, right?
Conscience, yeah.
Conscience, and that there's no decision by the mind. Mind just, I don't know whether you can use the word decision. Can we use the word decision here by the mind? When you say decision or decide, there's always a choice to decide, isn't it? Mind doesn't give you a choice. It just acts impulsively, erratically. It just picks up one thing. It says, I like that. There's no reasoning behind it. You see that? Sorry, I just had to stop because you used two words which may not fit into the context. Sorry. Please go ahead, sir.
So an act of the mind may align to the conscience just by randomness, nothing else. It just so happens. But an act of the, and your question is why the conscience, an act of the conscience can never be.
The question was, on one hand, we say of the mind. On the contrary, it doesn't mean every act of the intellect will be supported by the conscience. The contrary is not true. Just because you operate on intellect does not mean your conscience supports. I can say every action of the mind is not supported by the conscience. That does not mean I can give a blanket clearance for the intellect. Anything that the intellect decides, the conscience supports. We can't say so.
Yeah, because that intellect may not be as finely tuned or
the intellect is not perfect, no? It's an evolving.
The intellect is not perfect.
It's constantly evolving. It's dynamic, no? So the reasoning of your intellect can be wrong. So I could come to a conclusion with wrong reasoning. Just because I use the intellect, I just can't say conscience supports it. So I can give wrong reasons to come to certain conclusions. I may be reasoning in circles. I may be giving false reasoning. Or I can be justifying. So that doesn't mean conscience supports. That's important. So there can be reasoning given by a rajasic or tamasic intellect. You can't say the conscience supports it. Considering conscience is only pointing towards the truth, it will not falter. It's a very complex concept. Just how you have what gets into the conscience and what factors have to be taken to match. It's very complex. And yet you're expected to keep these factors in mind when you act. You okay, Sanjay? Great. Yes, Raviji.
Sir, if we see it that way, was it Arjuna's conscience which prevented him at the beginning from having to kill so many people before the Gita was given to him? Where was it his conscience which said, it's not worth killing so many of my own people for kingdoms? What was it? And also it goes, another fundamental question I have, when you say Vedanta says you are essentially free to make your choices, and when we also say we are born with certain natures, so how do we resolve this contradiction?
Right. I'll take a one by one, please. The first question you're asking is, when Arjuna chose not to fight the war, was it a decision by the conscience where he felt uncomfortable to enjoy the kingdom at the cost of his kith and kin? Is that an act supported by a conscience? In fact, from the very first chapter and of the Gita and the backdrop of the Gita beginning, we realize that Arjuna had gone into an emotional. He was very emotionally overpowered, seeing his own guru, seeing his own grandsire, and suddenly he started seeing relatives. So he didn't look at it as a warrior fighting a battle. He started personalizing the battle. It was an emotional analysis of the warfare, not an intellectual analysis of war against dharma and adharma. So obviously there was no intellect, there is no play of the conscience. So it is only the pure mind and emotions that overwhelmed him. So Arjuna was overwhelmed with emotions, and he lost cognition of his duty as a leader of a cause which was supporting dharma. So I don't think Arjuna was using his intellect. He lost his clarity of thought. So he acted on emotions at that point. Is that okay, sir, to the first question?
Can you hear me?
Sir, நான் அங்க வீட்டுக்கு வந்துடுறேன் சார்.
கேக்குறதா?
Perfect, perfect. Yes, please.
So, ஆமா, எங்க வீடு தான் ரொம்ப closest உங்களுக்கு.
Yes, sir.
And sir, what you so are we saying when Arjuna refused to kill, conscience had no role in that?
No, going by the factors we are analyzing, because he was completely clouded by his emotions. When you're clouded by emotions, where is the thinking? You don't know whether you're doing the right thing or not. So obviously conscience doesn't really support when you, sir, even forget conscience. When we act on emotion, even our own reasoning doesn't accept our actions. We don't accept what we speak, what we do, how we act on emotion at times, doesn't it? We're not even going to the subtle intellect level. Even the gross intellect doesn't accept our impulsive or emotional actions. So it's too far-fetched to see whether the conscience supported or not. Because any emotional action is not supported by reason. So you can't depend on emotion or the mind for such actions. Means can't rely on such actions. So they're outrightly rejected by the intellect, because you get carried away, no? Even it could be the right emotion. What is ecstasy? Ecstasy is also a positive emotion where you get carried away with that, where intellect doesn't control your inspiration. Inspiration also should be controlled. It should not be out of control, erratic expression. Ecstasy is an uncontrolled expression. Even that is not right. Right, sir. So the second question.
The second question is about free will and destiny, sir. We say we have a nature, at the same time we say we're free to make our choices. It's an age-old debate. I know that.
Oh, is it, sir? I don't know, sir. I'm not that old, sir.
Well, I am beginning to feel that old.
Yes, so what's the question?
No, the question is if our natures are what they are a given nature, how much of a choice do we have in terms of making choices?
Right. Now I prepared the board also to answer you. So what they say is, now what Vedanta says, that one side is the vasanas, which are every creature, every being is born with. But what Vedanta says is every human is different from any other being because a human being has got purushartha, and the reason I wrote like this is purushartha and vasanas are actually going parallel like a track. So purushartha and vasanas are two independent factors. So other than that, everything is a product of vasana, which is your body, your mind, and intellect. Everything is a product of vasana, except purushartha. Now, what this purushartha, as we define it as a free will, or what we have is known as we have a choice of action. So at every point of time, I can choose to go along with my vasana, which is my nature, or go against its nature. Means I can challenge it. That purushartha gives us the ability to do so. Now, since the purushartha is independent of the vasanas, we at any point of time, we are said a human being is defined by the choices, not by your nature. Therefore, we say you are a master of your destiny. We are not just passively to accept what I'm born with. I can do anything with my nature. In fact, I can nullify my nature and attain moksha in this janma. So to that extent, Vedanta says you are a master. So it is this purushartha that makes us different from other creatures. When you look at an animal, they don't have purushartha. They don't have free will. They have no choice. So you will never find, example, a carnivore getting disgusted with its nature of killing all the time. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's only devouring and eating. It will never get disgusted with it. Imagine even the most staunch meat eater may say sometimes, what is this? All the time I'm eating meat. Let me eat other vegetables and other proteins and other. He may think that way, but that choice doesn't exist for an animal. An animal is bound and destined to be like that, not a human. So whatever nature, so you're born with a particular nature because of purva karma, purva vasanas. Whatever purva karma and vasanas you had, you're born with. That doesn't mean this whole janma I must be like that, no? What about the present action, the present effort? That's where purushartha scores over the vasanas. Which is, what is the vasanas is? Prarabdha. Prarabdha and, oh, sorry. So, prarabdha na enna, sir?
Prarabdha karma is
Karma illa, prarabdha.
Prarabdha is your destiny.
Correct. So your destiny so it is said the meeting point of your past destiny and your future, which is the self-effort, meets in the present.
Yeah.
The present is the meeting point of the past destiny and the future, which is created by your present self-effort. So the meeting point is this moment. So whether you have enough conviction and strength to checkmate the past destiny with your current effort and create a future, that is entirely your ability.
So, but my understanding of Purushartha is Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha. You are supposed to strive for all four. Am I right?
Could you come again? The definition of?
When you say Purushartha, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha, the four arthas. Dharma,
Yes.
Kama, Moksha, and Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. These are the Purusharthas. So you, a human being is expected to strive for all these four and keep a balance in his life.
Yes, you can say so. You can choose to do any of them, no?
So when you say Purushartha, self-effort, choice of action, how does that tally with this? I'm not able to see the connection. Now, if there are four Purusharthas in a person's life, yes. But, and all the four Purusharthas have to be balanced to achieve through self-effort and choice of action. Is that what you're saying?
Sir, I am not qualifying the Purusharthas as that category. So I am generally saying it is that freedom of choice for you to choose what you wish to do. Now, how one would choose it is subjective.
Okay.
But however, primarily it gives you the freedom from what?
Right.
From the vasanas. Otherwise, free will from what, sir? Free will from what I'm born with, isn't it? Otherwise, the question of free will, oh, I've got freedom. Instantly, somebody will say, from what? From your job? From your wife? From where you got freedom? Opposite of freedom is bondage. So when they say free will, it is limitations from what? Bondage from what? Therefore, it is refers to the vasanas. Now, how you use it, for what purpose you use it, is for your prerogative. Not everybody would use Purushartha for moksha. Some may use Purushartha for dharma, to lead a dharmic life, to uphold dharma, which Arjuna was supposed to uphold. You get it, sir?
Yes. So essentially, when you say Purushartha, you're talking of action.
Yes. An
Okay.
action with phenomenal freedom.
Right.
A freedom to do what you wish to do. So that the grandeur of action, we don't understand the magnanimity, how Providence has been so magnanimous to us to tell you you can do what you wish to do. We don't understand that aspect. We believe when you say action that we are victims of our nature and vasanas and we have to act that way. Not so. Okay, sir.
Yes.
Right. Yes, Aparagaru.
Guruji, I am confused with certain verbatim that has been used. One is, I am unable to understand what exactly is free will. Then you also use the word called past destiny. Destiny is a future. So how can destiny be past destiny? Destiny is something, a goal that you are going to achieve in the future. Or if I am going to reach to a certain place, or what the destination is, a futuristic word. So what is a past destiny and what is free will?
I understand you've been planning some trips and all. Therefore, the thought of destination is coming in. Destiny, I don't think is destination, sir. No? Now, destiny also doesn't refer to the future. Destiny means the present, the current. Remember that. The present is the current destiny. That's why I said destiny and self-effort meet in the present. That's a meeting point.
You said past destiny. I said destiny and present.
No, the current destiny is determined by my past. The present self-effort defines your future.
No.
So what your self-effort in the present defines your future. Your past actions created your destiny. So the meeting point of destiny and self-effort is this present moment. Like you, who you are now is determined by what you have done till now. Now, at the same point, right now you have a choice. Whatever you wish, you can do. Don't you?
Yeah. I got it, sir. I understood now what the past, when you meant past destiny. So what is free will, Guruji?
Free will is you have the freedom from the vasanas. Like, for example, let's say if I have a desire, or if one has a desire for alcohol, why does he have a desire for alcohol? Because he has been an alcoholic all his life, so naturally he entertains a thought of alcohol, right? You may say he has a vasana for alcohol, and he has been consuming alcohol. He's an alcoholic. Now, as an alcoholic, he invariably will consume alcohol, right? What Vedanta says is, at any point of time, he can choose not to consume alcohol. He can choose to drop it. He can choose to get rid of that vasana or thought or desire for drinking. What gives him that ability to drop it at any point? What gives him the ability to checkmate that vasana for alcohol? It is that free will.
So can I understand free will as breaking a bondage? For example,
Bondage
I
from
have
what?
a weak
From what?
from weaknesses, from example, from anything. Bondage, it can be attachment, it can be weaknesses, it can be emotions, it can be feelings. Because as long as I'm having attachment, there is no free will. As long as I'm having a weakness, there is no free will. As long as I'm living in this world, there is no free will, because I have to conduct myself with what are dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So there is no free will for me when I look into it, and only when you are realized there is a free will, because you're not bounded by good, bad, ugly emotions or feelings and all these things.
Sir, first of all, I see that you are bound by artha, kama, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. You are bound by that. Now, first get freed from that concept.
Okay.
You are analyzing what is being told from your perspective. You're not able to see independently what is being said. That's my perspective to what your comments are. What you are defined, individuality is born because of vasanas, right, sir? Whatever you do is defined by your vasanas. Are you okay with that?
Yes, Guruji.
If vasanas or nature is the force that defines the individual and his actions, then am I not a slave of my vasanas?
Yes.
Where did the vasanas come from? Purva karma.
Purva karma.
Purva karma, purva vasanas. That means whatever vasanas I am born with, I have to live that life.
Mm-hmm.
Is that so in case of a human? Vedanta says no. Just because you're born with certain impressions from the past, you don't have a choice. Sorry, you don't, it's not that you are bound to be living like that. You can choose to change at any point. And that ability or that freedom of choice you have is called free will.
Okay.
I can still choose to be going with my nature. No, I think my nature is good and I want to go that way. That also is choice. You may say, I don't like my nature. I want to choose another nature. That also is a choice.
I was basically thinking that, we have a human being is defined as PC plus V, that is pure consciousness plus vasanas. So if you are able to circumvent your vasanas, then you are only pure consciousness. So that is Brahman. That's the reason
Correct.
I'm thinking.
And how do you do that?
Then
How do you
free will is
do
nothing
that?
but Brahman.
No. Free will is not Brahman. Free will takes you to Brahman. A human being is pure consciousness plus V plus P. PC plus V is, sir, pure consciousness is the Atman.
Yes.
V is the Vasanas. P is the Purushartha.
For sure. Okay.
Does it clarify, sir?
Yes, Guruji. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Gayatri Ma is doing some independent research and study. Please don't open those links. I don't know what links they are.
Guruji, you had given the talk on this, and that is the same link of yours.
No, so are you suggesting that they start listening to something I said then and not listen to what I'm saying now? That's why I said don't heed to the link. Now I said later on you can follow, isn't it? Nice. Appreciate. Thanks, Ma. So Padma, then there's the conch, and the other things which are very familiar. The Gada, we are very familiar. So the knocks and shocks of life that we have can come from many quarters. That slightest feeling of guilt or remorse or the mental agitations one experience is a clear indication of going off course from the conscience. And then comes the ultimate chakra, which is symbolized by self-destructive actions. So we are punished by our own actions. Okay. We'll take up, that's 18th verse, please. Tvamaksharam paramam veditavyam tvamasya vishwasya param nidhanam tvamavyaya shashvata dharma gopta sanatanastvam purusho mato me tvamaksharam paramam veditavyam Tvamasya vishwasya param nidhanam Tvamavyaya shashvata dharma gopta Sanatanastvam purusho mato me. I recognize you as the imperishable. Arjuna is continuing his description of the Vishwarupa. I recognize you as the imperishable, supreme, to be known. Veditavyam, to be known. Paramam, Paramam, supreme, to be known. Aksharam, the imperishable, to be the ultimate abode of this universe. Param Nidhanam, you are the immutable protector of the eternal dharma. Avyaya, Shashvata, Dharma Goptaha, protector of eternal dharma. Look at the choice of words. Huh? How knowledgeable must Arjuna also be to be able to use such flowery words? Shashvata Dharma Goptaha, immutable protector of eternal dharma, the laws. You are the ancient Purusha, ancient being. So Arjuna uses various glorious epithets in this verse to describe Krishna. Now, Vishwarupa is a form, and this verse is nowhere near a finite form. Everything that he describes is nowhere near a finite form. Firstly, he says, Akshara, imperishable. How can only a form is perishable? A substance is perishable. But when he sees the form, he says you are imperishable. So obviously he is not seeing a form. So imperishable means there is no form. It is not a substance. Therefore, it is imperishable. We are just decoding the words of Arjuna Sanjay. Don't scrutinize my words like that. He's very carefully scrutinizing. What am I saying here? Please don't do that. Huh? Okay? There must be some element of faith and devotion also, Sanjay. Not so much suspicion.
No, no, not suspicion, Guruji. I feel like these are very core concepts, and I just, if it's, I don't want to just get it past me and accept it without scrutinizing it, because it colors everything else. It colors everything else. I just want to.
What does it do?
Listening.
Sorry, what does it do? You said, what is the word you used?
It colors everything else. It colors everything else that how we think about the other concepts. So I'm not suspicious. It's just my nature. I'm very curious about this. I don't want to just. I have to keep re-listening. It's.
No. I just sensed that the keenness of your intent in listening. So I thought maybe there is
No, that's
something which
there.
you.
That's there. I enjoy this
Yeah.
kind of thing, but I'm just internally scrutinizing it. No.
Yes. So, there is obviously, we have said, whether you take it from a devotional perspective or an intellectual perspective. So when you use the reasoning of the intellect, when you decode it, you got to, what you say, you have to convey. So we are trying to get what these terms convey. Per se, the form is there, which Arjuna is perceiving, but is that what it is? So therefore is this scrutinizing of the words and what they convey. Right? Appreciate, Sanjay. So moving on, then he says, supreme, paramam, veditavyam. The highest refers to the transcendental. So you should not be content merely knowing the terrestrial world. In fact, elsewhere in the Gita, he uses the words Kshipram hi manushe loke. He says Kshipram is very easy. Does one find success in the manushe loke, in the material world? So if you all have found success in the material world, there's no big deal about it, man. You must try to find success in the spiritual world. You have known this, but you must know the paramam. Paramam veditavyam. So go beyond the terrestrial and explore the transcendental. Ultimate abode of this universe. You to be the immutable protector of laws, protector of eternal dharma. Now, how to understand this is when the world that we are going through can be described as laws that are functioning impeccably. The laws are meticulously, impeccably, the laws are functioning. So there are various external laws and there are various internal laws, right? Now, when these laws are functioning meticulously, what do we posit? Immutable protector of eternal dharma. Dharmas here are being interpreted as the laws. UK. When you walk into a place and you see everything is so systematized, everything so organized, what do you posit?
Feel very good, Guruji.
No, I'm not asking you how you feel.
Huh.
My question is, what is my question?
When you go into a room or a place and everything is properly organized and kept in its place, what do you?
Posit. What do you make of it?
Perfection.
Indeed, when you find perfection in everything that is being done, what do you foresee? Means everything is so disciplined, everything is so organized,
Divinity,
everything is.
Guruji.
நீங்க ஒரு
Divinity.
ஆபீஸ்ல போனீங்க.
No, it is just what to say.
Okay, in simple terms, let's say you go to a country or a place where all the laws are being obeyed, all
followed.
the laws followed. If the traffic rules, people are following the traffic rules. If there are laws of you see everywhere laws are being implemented.
Yes, yes.
People don't throw litter anywhere.
Yeah,
People don't throw
yeah.
spit. They don't spit. They don't. It's even simple things like that. Everything is so organized. What do you posit? There must be a very powerful authority,
Administrator or authority or law who implements
above
the
them.
law and order. Yeah.
If the laws are there operating meticulously and they are being followed, that means everybody is afraid of a governor or a controller, right?
Yes. That's
So
true.
you posit somebody very
at the top who is taking care of all these things.
Somebody is mindful of that, isn't it? Now, if all the laws in the world are meticulously functioning, what do you posit?
That there should be a, but it is not like that, no, Guruji. Although,
please first don't bring in the word but here. First answer the question.
That there is a.
I knew when sometime the but will come, but before that coming, please answer the question.
Okay. There is a, I mean, not authority, but there is a, to say.
Play the verse, play the translation. Gayatri Ma.
Supreme, Guruji, supreme authority.
You read the Sanskrit, the English translation, where it says you to be the immutable protector.
Yeah.
Somebody is protecting.
One who takes care of all these things.
Right. One who takes care, one who administers, one who governs, one who oversees. Right.
Yes, Guruji.
So that he says you are that. So look at him. Arjuna is telling the Lord, as you are the
authority or the protector
of all the laws.
Yes.
So we all, whether he is conveying that is anybody's guess, but way you rationally decode it, it means that dharma, the laws which govern the world.
Yeah. Yes, Guruji.
Now the but should come.
It is not like that, no, Guruji. So
why not like that?
I mean, everything is not perfect. Everything is not being. How do you account for the so many imperfections in this? In the world, that is because of us. Is it because of us in the world we live in?
The world is not imperfect. What makes you believe the world is imperfect?
So we are imperfect, Guruji. Then
where do you notice imperfection? When we say the world is governed by laws, the laws are functioning meticulously, what do you see wrong in that?
For example, Guruji, the tsunamis or the cyclones or the hurricanes, which, what do you, I mean, how do you call it is perfect, Guruji? It
is Lord Shiva working perfectly well. He's doing his job very well.
Okay.
Without destruction, there can't be
Creation,
creation,
a place for creation.
isn't it? Something has to
Okay.
die to be born again, no?
Okay.
Imagine
Okay.
all our forefathers are not dead, alive.
Yeah. There'll be no, yes.
275 years, that fellow is still alive. 275 years, that fellow is still alive. Huh?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will have patience to take care of a fellow who's 275-year-old. Please die. We will be praying for death. Oh Lord, Yama, please come and take. Now, thank God there is an end to all of this. Only when there is a death, there is birth.
That's true.
So destruction also is a part of creation. It's part of nature. Why are we demonizing it?
And what about the physically disabled or mentally disabled people? And I mean,
Karma, you have violated the law. This morning, a video came across. I was seeing how the cattle are treated in the slaughterhouses. Even way before they reach the slaughterhouse. Invariably, they are all bred to reach the slaughterhouse. And what journey they go through and how they are treated. People use rods and beat them up, and electrocuted rods, and pierce them with all kinds of things to hurt them, cause them pain. What could happen to those actions?
Okay.
Just for my palate, I cause so much harm to them. I am responsible for them going through the journey. Let's accept that. Demand and supply.
Yes, that's true.
So if they go through that journey, I have demanded it. I am responsible for it. There are so many actions I do, I am not mindful of. Who will face the consequence of that? All sorts of diseases are coming today. Who is responsible for that? It is perhaps the curse of the animal kingdom on humanity. You make us suffer, you will suffer. The cause and effect. I see it that way. But when we say the world is governed by laws, what laws are we talking about? So this is also the law of cause and effect, no?
Yeah.
Nothing happens without a cause, no? The law of causation says that, no?
Yes.
If I'm going through X thing in my life, it's because of my own karma.
Yeah.
Something I have done to deserve it. So where's the question of doubting that law? Can we doubt that law?
Only because we don't realize it. Sometimes we end up doubting.
I don't know what I have done to deserve it.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean the law can go wrong, isn't it? Now, can you mention a couple of the laws which govern a human?
You get what you deserve. That is one of the laws.
You get what you deserve, not what you desire. What other law?
And this is one. You are whatever you are affected by or enjoying or not enjoying is a result of your past actions. That is one law. Then
All right. You have given. Aparagaru, tell me one law which governs our lives.
Guruji, birth cycle is one of the government because whatever actions we are taking, we are again dying and taking birth with past karma. So that is one of the laws.
The law of birth and death.
Birth and death.
All right. Okay. Ashama, can you give one law? Thanks, Aparagaru. I want to hear from everybody.
The most what I keep hearing is the law of attraction.
What is law of attraction?
What you sow is what you would reap. So whatever, like probably the free will that you described earlier. So how you are processing things, or the current actions that you are taking That is what will bring certain things into your life.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I also have another question. Can I ask that now?
Please.
So when we were discussing about say some disability or children born with some mental or physical disability because of the past destiny, what I don't understand is what is the point of, like, when we say the animals were traumatized or mistreated, it's the destiny of the animals as well as the destiny of the person torturing the animal. But what is the point when I don't know that I have there are certain issues or some disability is because of some past thing that I've done, when I'm not even aware of that past thing? How does one understand that? This is a dilemma that I always have. Like, what is the point of suffering when I don't know what I'm being punished for, when I don't understand that?
So what is your suggestion?
It would be so much easier if I suffered in this lifetime itself, if I know that, okay, I'm responsible, or this is because of the actions of my past. If I understand that, it becomes easier for me to stay on the same course or to change my course and to take full responsibility of to understand what I will be bearing the consequences in this lifetime itself and not in some future lifetime, if at all there is one.
Right now, you go into the kitchen, put on the stove, put your finger in the fire for 5 seconds, and then come back and talk to me. What would happen?
Yeah, I am going to burn very badly.
5 seconds only, not more than that. That's why I didn't say 1 minute. 5 seconds of 2 seconds, put it and come. So it doesn't take the law to work. The law of fire will immediately work, isn't it?
Yes.
It's just that when we talk of the internal laws, they work as explicitly, as impeccably as the external laws. You get it? It is to our realization that there are these laws that are working, and I need to abide by them. I need to understand them. I need to surrender to them and let my life be governed by these laws. Then you understand, you will accept it. Because what is the problem is ignorance. It's ignorance of the law. That's the problem. Every action takes its own time for its own consequence to effect. Like if I plant a coconut seed today, in 2 months, I'm not going to get a coconut from the tree. It may take 10 years for the tree to grow and give me a coconut. I need to accept that cause and effect. It will not take 1 year for my finger to burn instantaneously. So there are these cause and effects that work in life. Each action has its own consequence. It expresses in that way. It may be expressing immediately. I may not be able to read it as well. But we need to understand that there is this law that works meticulously. So just a quick mention of these are some of the laws that function in our lives. There is under the law of causation, there's a law of destiny, the law of karma. There is the laws of attachment and the law of detachment. The various psychological laws, intellectual laws, as Kushama said, the law of deserving and desiring. The law of conscience, the laws of demand and supply. Aparaguru said there are laws which govern our birth and death. And there are more. The laws of happiness. So we need to understand them. In fact, I believe in the book, there is a reference to that. Gayatrima, there's a reference? You would know, right?
It's question number 95. Page 211.
Page 211. There is a mention of 13 laws in the book. Do you have this book with you, Ashama? Please contact Gayatrima, get hold of it. Some intelligent man has written it. So please get hold of it. Some knowledge that person has. So it's worth reading that book. All right. So when he says you are the protector of laws, I bow down in obeisance to that mysterious power, the mysterious unknown ordainer. And he says immutable. He qualifies the protector as immutable. Immutable means that changeless, that has been constant, that immutable, never changing. So it is, he's glorifying the Lord here. And then he concludes by saying, you are the ancient. Ancient means something which existed before time. And obviously he means it. It's not superficial words. He means all this glorious epithets. You are the very cause of the universe, O Lord. We will leave it at this and we'll come back. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.